Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell today, I'm once again not in the shed. There is a story there. I'm feuding with my neighbor who's an and won't stop making noise. My studio is right on the limit of my property near his, and he's noisy. So I'm trying to get that resolved. That's why I haven't been doing a lot of videos. That's basically been stressing me out a lot. But I did start thinking about something I can make content about, and that is somehow all this time I've been trying to get this channel going, and I forgot that I'm a writer. I have like 7 books out. I don't know how I forgot that, but anyway, I thought it would be cool for me to sit down and do some videos about writing, specifically science fiction, because that's what I write. If you want to look up my books, I'm on Amazon, Smashwords, pretty much anywhere you can get paperbacks or ebooks, and I even have several audiobooks out. I write under my given name, which is Michael Morrow, and that's spelled out for you below. And here's my website. The first trope I'm going to talk about today is making aliens slimy and gross. Why do writers have a problem envisioning aliens as anything other than like pouring so much mucus constantly that they would dehydrate in 5 minutes flat if their biology worked like that? I don't understand why aliens have to be gross and slimy. I mean, I get that it's because they're aliens and they're supposed to be weird, but why can't aliens be fluffy and cute? Or, you know, something different? Why does it always have to be gross? You know, most people, they'll either write aliens that look just like humans, or if they're not human-like, they're disgusting beasts, which just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's possible that some aliens would be disgusting beasts. Absolutely. I mean, that's just you know, how reality works. Some are going to evolve to be like the way we perceive as disgusting. But I just don't understand the proliferation of aliens that have to be slimy and gross and disgusting, which brings up the next point, point 2, which is aliens with tentacles. Look, I get it. The whole thing about tentacles, you know, like the ocean kind of freaks us out, especially the deep ocean. There's something in it that just kind of bothers the human psyche when there's like 8 tentacles coming out of the darkness. I get it, but it really just comes across as lazy because we can't envision limbs as either, you know, again, most people will write aliens either look kind of like humans and have similar appendages, or they have tentacles. Lots of tentacles, like an unnecessary amount of tentacles. And tentacles are not really the best at manipulating technology and tools. So you would imagine that even if a creature was, let's say, asymmetric and had 3 limbs on one side and only 1 on the other, that they would still have some kind of like grasping little fingers, you know, some digits, something that they could manipulate technology with better than tentacles. I'm not saying that you can't ever write an alien with tentacles, especially lower life forms. And I mean, yeah, sure, some advanced ones could, but again, I'm not telling you how to write your aliens. I'm telling you the things to watch out for, the things that people just kind of fall into for some reason and just like lean on. And I think that they really shouldn't. And that is aliens that are gross and slimy and for no reason whatsoever have tentacles, other than that it kind of freaks out humans. So on to the next point, aliens with organic technology. Look, I get it. It was a concept for years that was new, but I mean, I think it's kind of run its course. You can write stuff with organic technology, but maybe be a little different. Maybe say it's partly organic, or give some really good reason as to why it has organic components or is organic. And of course, it needs to also make sense with the species. You know, you're not going to write a species that look pretty much like humans and have human-like sensibilities as far as like the way they dress and fashion and things like that, but then they want to live inside of fucking disgusting, gross ships that have mucus on the walls. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no real rationale there. And even if the ship itself was organic, maybe like on the outside, then I'm pretty sure they would cover the inside kind of like we do. If a modern human were to make a house inside a cave, they would frame it up and hang drywall and stuff to give it a nice appearance inside, because aliens are going to have a sense of aesthetics as well, and they don't always have to be some, okay with like some Lovecraftian, disgusting mucus cave. I just think it's weird for a technologically advanced species, an interstellar species. Number 4, alien ships that show up and just loom over cities. District 9, Independence Day. There's a ton of these, okay? So, dry mouth. So, the problem is that these get written a lot because it seems like a mystery, and we like mysteries as humans, and that's fine. But just in general, I would say this isn't probably not a despised trope that most people are just sick to death of. Just probably more one to watch out for. If your whole story is going to revolve around a ship or ships that show up and just loom over cities, then you better be prepared to write a lot of human character drama surrounding what they're trying to make of this thing. It needs to be an actual mystery. If you're going to do basically a suspenseful mystery, which is what you're framing by doing this trope, then you need to be prepared to write a suspenseful mystery and not just an alien action adventure, because that's not what you're setting up. Okay. Aliens being stronger than humans. Some of these next few, these are my big ones. These are the ones that I am just absolutely sick and tired of. Why are aliens always stronger than humans? Even if they look just like us, Vulcans, they look just like us, right? But they're like 5 times stronger. Why are all alien species just automatically, without even asking, it's not even a question, they're stronger than humans? Of course they are. They can punch through metal doors and lift 10 times what we can. Where are all of the, and again, this is not, there are a lot of good hard sci-fi writers out there who write things other than this. But this, when I'm talking about this type of trope, this is mostly something that we see in TV and in movies, and we see it ad nauseum. I understand that it makes for a tense situation, that the aliens are superior to us, but it also just gets old, Aliens could be much weaker than us. There's a very good chance they could have developed on a lower gravity world than us. In fact, what if humans are, what if we go out and we meet 100 alien species, 100 sentient species, and we end up being the biggest and the strongest of all of them? This is something I have never seen someone write. Never. I have seen some who, will give a little, some that are smaller and weaker, some that are bigger and larger. We get that, Star Wars, for instance, one of the few movie properties that will actually do that. There are species that are smaller and weaker than humans, okay. But oftentimes it seems like even the smaller species in Star Wars are still disproportionately strong compared to humans. So I don't know. But maybe somebody do that. What if humans are the biggest, strongest, brutish creatures out there, and the rest of the alien species are like, holy crap, how can they be sentient when they're such giant monsters? So just something to think about. Aliens living way longer than humans. This is another one, especially in movie and TV land, that we see over and over and over and over and over. Aliens always live longer than humans. Writers don't even bother to pause and question that. Again, I always thought that was insane. I was like, what if a lot of them have much shorter lifespans? What if they only live 20, 30 years? What if they live 10 years? And then what if humans by then are living 300 years? So just don't automatically write your aliens as being super long-lived. It is extremely cliche, and I think people are kind of tired of seeing it, just as an automatic assumption. Or another thing you can do is, okay, well, aliens live a really long time, but so do humans now. It's not a matter of biology that aliens automatically live longer than humans. Maybe it's just that once you reach a certain level of technology, you can prolong life either indefinitely or for a very long time. So again, think about that before just automatically saying that, well, they're aliens, so they live 200 years. Precursor races. Yes, it was a cool concept back in the day, but now everybody has to include some ancient race that was like way more powerful than anybody that's in the current era. And we find mysterious ruins and technology, and maybe somebody gets a piece of that technology and they're trying to reverse engineer it and all of this stuff. But what I want you to understand is where this story element's coming from. This is coming from ancient Rome. That's what this is. It's something of a story. At least I've largely heard that it's a fabrication, it's a story, but that in say like medieval times, people didn't know where the Roman roads came from. Most historical evidence says that actually, yes, they did know where they came from, or at least in most places they did know where they came from. And my phone is ringing with an unavailable. So guess what I'm going to do there? No. So in some places there probably were a few people who didn't have any idea where those roads came from or where these ruins came from. And to them, whoever built them was obviously far more advanced. And they thought that, if I just had the knowledge that the ancients had, then I could rule the world. So you can definitely do precursor races, but really I would tone it down. I mean, I think I like the concept, but it has been overplayed so much. If you're going to do it, maybe confine it to like maybe to like certain planets where there was a previous civilization, or maybe like to certain parts of the galaxy or something. But just doing like this straight up OP ass, ancient civilization that that existed 10,000 years before everyone else, and could squash them like bugs today, but they also just disappeared for some reason. That's weird, because the Romans didn't disappear. There are still people in Italy today. Societies might fracture, political organizations might fracture, alliances might fracture, but you're going to still have some cultural memory of the ancient civilization. So just be careful when writing those, and do some good research, and maybe try to give it a different spin, because especially if it's generic, it has been done to death. Monolithic races. This is another one of my big ones. And if you don't know what a monolithic race is, Klingons. Not every member of a species is going to be the same. There are no such things as a warrior race. All we have to do is look at human culture. All we have to do is look at the animal world. In a wolf pack, not every single one of them is the same. In a pride of lions, not every one of them is the same. In a troop of monkeys, not every one of them is the same. A monolithic culture cannot exist. Plain and simple, it cannot. If you have a warrior race and every member of your society is a warrior, then you would still be hitting each other with rocks and living in caves. You're not going to develop advanced technology. Now, I know some people have gotten around this by saying, well, ancient aliens landed and maybe took some of them away, and they got them to fight for them because they were strong and brutish, and eventually they turned on their masters and like took their technology. But if you're writing in the time frame you're writing, if you're writing a warrior race and they're calling themselves that, and basically anyone who's not a warrior should like live in shame, I guess, because that's what their entire culture is based off of. No one would want to be an engineer or a scientist or a doctor or anything like that. That's not how social dynamics work. That's not how society works. So do not write monolithic races at all. This one I will tell you, do not write monolithic races. They don't exist. Okay? There can be certain things that your species leans toward, you know, and maybe they have an affinity for, or they're a little bit better at, but even then, don't write a monolithic race. Oh, well, they all like to tinker with things. No, they don't. Maybe say that maybe a subspecies of them is a little more, they like to tinker more, or even better than a subspecies, like one particular cultural element. Because this is something we see all the time, is that we do not see actual cultures on alien planets in most fiction. What we see is a type of civilization where you could land in one spot on a planet, meet 10 people, and you know exactly what everyone on the whole planet is like. But that's obviously not realistic. I have more on that type of stuff in a minute. My list is kind of out of order. Everything alien is green. Just stop it. Goddamn stop it. Why? Alien blood has to be green. Alien ships have to glow green. Alien ships have to be painted green. Their weapons fire green. There are other colors. So just stop with the green stuff, okay? Enough. Aliens stealing water from Earth. Water is like really not scarce in the universe. Like fucking at all, okay? And even if it was, it's not that hard to make it with hydrogen and oxygen. So aliens are not coming here to steal water. Entire planets having one king or one ruling council. This goes, I told you I'd get back to it. Is it possible that your alien world will have one absolute ruler, or say one ruling council that presides over the entire civilization on the planet? Yeah, it's possible. Especially maybe if it's a colony world. You know, if you're specifying, okay, this is a colony world of a subset of some species' empire or political realm, then yes, okay. Yeah, you might have that, maybe. But even then, probably not. A great example is, look at our world, okay? There are, almost between 150 and 200 countries. I want to say it's like 190 countries in the world. And most of them have very different political systems. Some of them have little principalities within inside themselves, which are some semi-sovereign. The United States has plenty of tribal lands, which are considered sovereign states, even though they're under the federal umbrella. That's not how politics works. Even if you have a colony world that starts off on a peninsula of a planet, and that's the colony itself, and they're all, you know, like they're fishermen basically. That doesn't mean that, you know, 100 miles away there might not be a little enclave of people doing, or aliens doing logging or mining or something else like that, and maybe they have tensions with the people who live on the peninsula, and maybe they consider themselves semi-autonomous. There's not going to just be one person or one group speaking for everyone, especially if you're on someone's home world, because they've obviously had thousands of years of cultural growth in order to get to the point of interstellar travel. So they're going to be pretty fractured. I mean, maybe not as bad as humans. Maybe humans are particularly bad about that. But there should at least be some. There should be some internal tensions. And the other reason, of course, you want to write like that is because it doesn't make for a very interesting culture to read about if they're all in agreement, right? I mean, it's the same reason that we write crews on a spaceship having internal conflicts. It's because it makes them more interesting. It makes them more real. So society should have internal conflicts as well. Aliens named after their planet. This one's short and simple. It shouldn't be Vulcans from the planet Vulcan. That's just weird. We're not Earthians from the planet Earth. I mean, you might be able to do this, but you're going to have to say something like, well, that's the name that humans use for them because that's the planet that they first met them on. But obviously the name they call themselves is going to be something different. Aliens that breathe our atmosphere just fine. Okay, look, I get it that, you know, when you're writing stuff, especially if you're writing for film or TV, you do have to be practical, and you can't have every alien walking around in a pressure suit. So I do get that. I mean, that's just practicality and budget there. But especially in writing science fiction, you really should make some kind of mentions of the fact that different species are going to obviously breathe different atmospheres, have different pressure requirements, etc. Now, there's a lot of ways we can get around that. We can say, okay, well, they were given some kind of... Everyone in this giant galactic federation is given some kind of... when they join their space navy, they're given some kind of genetic treatment or something. Maybe not all of them. Maybe like at least the species that are kind of similar are all given gene therapies to where they can exist in like sort of an atmosphere that's breathable for most, and then only a few have to wear respirators or something like that. You know, or if you're not going to do something like that, then of course mention, okay, maybe most of them can exist in the same pressure. That's fine. Most people are not going to knock you for that. But at least gases, maybe they need a different supplemental gas. In Star Trek, we saw that with the benzites and with another species, and I'm not remembering the name at the moment. Barzan. They're the Barzans that had the Barzan wormhole. We've seen a few species that do need some supplemental gases. We saw this also in Predator 2, that after he had his mask off for a while, he had to take a little respirator and breathe in some other gas. So we can do that. Obviously, if a human's on an alien ship, maybe their atmosphere is close, but the human has to wear a little thing with extra oxygen, something like that. It's just be aware of the fact that alien species are not likely to breathe exactly the same atmosphere. And even if they can breathe the same atmosphere, you can always mention something along the lines of, well, serving aboard this human ship, this alien feels more tired than normal, or has headaches more often because the atmosphere is a little different, or something like that. Just basically to acknowledge to the reader that you understand that you're not just writing hokum, you know. And look, I know I am I am the last person to talk about a lot of this stuff because my books are silly. Most of my books are pretty silly, tongue-in-cheek kind of humor. I lean hard on like Douglas Adams type stuff, and I mean, one of my book series is The Future Man Adventures, which centers around a time-traveling janitor from the year 1999. Not our 1999, but 1999 the way that like 1950 saw 1999 with flying cars and everything. And if the premise of a time-traveling janitor fighting bad guys sounds familiar to you, it's not because I stole it from the Hulu show. In fact, my Future Man book came out in December of 2012, and I think their show about a time-traveling janitor named Future Man came out in like 2016, 17, 18, something like that. So I don't know what the deal is there, but I did the time-traveling janitor fighting bad guys well before them, and I have published evidence of that. So, promise, it's not a ripoff. One of my other series is called Rocket Riders of the 27th Century. If that doesn't tell you what it's supposed to be, then I failed my job. Obviously, it is supposed to be very retro, sort of ray punk, atom punk type strangeness. It's imagining the 27th century the way, say, like the 1930s would have imagined it, with rocket ships, ray guns, Martians, things like that. The only thing is I don't have the characters talk really hokey and stuff like that. They act like real people. They kind of talk over one another. They have back and forth dialogues. They have senses of humor. They have actual problems. So it's, in some ways, it is written a little bit more like a real series. And my dog's barking. It is written more like a real serious series in some ways. It's generally an action-adventure sci-fi. And there even is a reason that their technology in the 27th century looks the way it does and looks all retro. I haven't written it in a book yet, but eventually I'm going to write it in there, and there's actually going to be an explanation for why their technology looks like that, and it's a real world explanation. So anyway, again, if you want to check out my books, you can go to my website, or you can check me out on Amazon. And but I'm going to continue the list right now. Aliens with empires, but no colonies. Okay, I'm going to sum this up real quick for you. Romulan Star Empire. Why did the Romulans need the Federation to help? I'm not even going to go into the fact that a supernova in another star system reached and destroyed their planet faster than the speed of light. Yes, I do know that the game Star Trek Online has tried to address it and say that it propagated through subspace, which is bullshit. It was poor writing at the time of Star Trek, the 2009 Star Trek movie, and people have tried their best to correct it, and that's fine, but it was a horrible idea. It was a terrible idea of just saying, okay, we're going to destroy the Romulan Star Empire by blowing up their home planet. Okay, but they're a fucking empire. I mean, at the height of the Roman Empire, if you destroyed Rome, would it cause political strife? Absolutely, yes. Would it fracture? Yeah, probably quite a bit. But we see this a lot, and again, we see this mostly in TV and film, that a homeworld means more than anything else. So, like, they either don't have colonies, or the colonies... I mean, they're like 100 people on each colony. Why have an empire if the colonies are absolutely worthless and you can't flee to them? I mean, the Romulan Star Empire should have had a huge fleet of ships. I mean, we saw that they had a lot of ships. They could have transported themselves to their own colonies. So don't even bother writing someone's homeworld if it doesn't matter. Don't even bother writing someone to have an empire if their homeworld is the only world that matters. Aliens without emotions. Again, stop it. I'm going to get a spray bottle and just stop it.
But what are these human emotions? I don't understand these human emotions.
Yes, alien beings are probably going to have different feelings than us, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be super interested in human emotions. And also, if they had no emotions, then they'd be like, fuck, I don't care, and I don't care about your stupid emotions. They would hinder me. No, it's a way to make the human race feel better because we feel special and pretty. No, so cut that out. Aliens that look like humans. I mean, that's an easy one, right? I mean, film and TV, we do it because budget. Okay, that's fine. But in writing, you don't have to. You can make them weird. They can be any type of life form. They can exist in water. They can be gaseous. They can be energy. They can be asymmetrical. They can be multiple entities that coexist symbiotically. I mean, there's an endless amount of things you can do to make characters that are not human-like. Now, yes, once again, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, in my Future Man books, the aliens all look like humans. The reason for that, they're not the in-universe reason, but the out-of-universe reason for that is that those books are written. I try to describe them as, when you're reading it, imagine you're reading a book, and your image in your head is black and white, like an old 1950s movie. They're basically supposed to look and feel like cheesy 1950s B sci-fi movies. So the evil space lords do look like humans, maybe with weird eyebrows or a bump on their head or something, goofy like that, or a weird facial tattoo or something. And and in my Rocket Rider series, Martians look extremely close to humans. The only difference is they don't have hair on top of their heads, they don't grow beards, but they do grow, they're very, very pale, sheet white, light blue eyes, because they live underground, and they have a very tiny little soft covering of like a white fur. And the reason I wrote them to be so humanoid is because, again, the series is supposed to stylistically be like a 1930s type science fiction. I do have some other projects that are going to be more serious, more hard sci-fi that I will eventually get around to writing, and some stuff I've been developing for a long time. And in there, I try to shy away from human-like aliens a lot. Again, because it's hard sci-fi, and it needs to be a little more believable, and also I want to get creative with it. But, you know, when you're doing something hokey, you know, if Martians are supposed to look like humans because they look like they would have in the 1930s, you know, or they're supposed to be little green men, well, then that's how you write them, you know. So know what you're doing, you know, like have a feeling for it. The number one thing I try to advise people is stop trying to be epic, okay? If you're trying to write something about like that happens over like 1,000 years and takes place in 5 different galaxies and all this stuff, don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic books and book series like that. But does every book have to be epic? Just like nowadays with movies, does every movie have to be epic? It doesn't. You can write genuine, fun stories that are smaller in scope. So just sit down and think about what you actually want to write. And I'll tell you right now, the reason that I keep writing series like that are more fun is exactly that. They are fun. With the Rocket Riders, yes, I do try to provide at least semi-scientific things that would make it sort of make sense, but I still get to have fun. Now with the Future Man stuff, I don't have to make anything make sense. I mean, the book literally has the books literally have a narrator who's a talking cat, and their science is never explained. It's just madness, and it's fun. So there's nothing wrong with writing fun stuff. In fact, there is such a lack of just fun stuff right now because everyone wants to be epic and write a 15-book, you know, saga, that you may find that people are very happy to read a book that they can read in a weekend and actually enjoy. In fact, I've read several articles about novellas being on the rise because people just have less time. They want to read a shorter story. So if you want to do a saga, hey, plan it out and do it, okay? But you don't have to do a saga, okay? You don't even have to do a series. You can do a one-off book. I'm notoriously bad about that. If I write one book, it turns into a series. Don't fall into that trap because sometimes it feels like an obligation, okay? So back to the list. Aliens always being more technologically advanced. I'm not talking about aliens that come here to take over the world. I mean, that makes sense that they would be more technologically advanced because, you know, they arrived here and we're still floating around in the International Space Station and shooting off pods and capsules and stuff. You know, our level of technology is obviously going to be less than theirs if they can reach us. What I am talking about is the trope that in a future, say 500 years from now, humans are out there, we're exploring the interstellar medium, we've met a bunch of alien species, but humans are like the underdogs. We're always playing catch up, and all the aliens were in space for like 5,000 years before us. But again, people write this way because humans are special. We're special little boys and girls. Yes, we have to feel special that, oh, well, we went from manned flight to landing on the moon in like less than 60 years. Or just over 60 years. That's the way most people write humans, is that we are behind everyone else, but we're catching up really, really fast. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you write about humans 10,000 years from now and other aliens are just starting to explore things. That is something that pretty much no one ever does. So again, if you write that, guess what? It's going to be fairly unique, you know? So aliens do not always have to be technologically advanced, and they absolutely do not have to have been interstellar capable species for like some ridiculous amount of time before us. Especially when they're supposed to be like 100 years more advanced than us, but they've been in space for 10,000 years, and we have interstellar travel too. That just doesn't make sense. I mean, yes, cultures are going to evolve at different rates, you know, and some of them might be slow, some of them might be fast. Hey, sometimes maybe the humans are the ones that are, you know, the fast learners. But there could be, and okay, humans are the fast learners in your universe, but there could be another one. What if there's another species that is even, they've only been in space for 20 years and they're already starting to overtake us? You know, just think outside the box and don't just do what you've seen on TV, okay? Aliens who all speak the same language. That does not need to be explained. Aliens are not going to speak the same language, okay? On the home world, they're probably going to speak, even if they've been a planetary culture for a long time, they're probably going to at least still have 2 or 3 different languages. And colony worlds are probably going to have some different languages and stuff like that, or at least different versions of the language. Maybe if they settled them thousands of years ago with slower than light ships, sleeper ships, generational ships, they would evolve different dialects and things like that. So aliens are not going to all speak the same language unless they're literally like all a singular genetic construct that was created by another race or something, and they like gave them a language and said, here's your language. Aliens that are entirely evil with no redeeming qualities. Not all humans are bad, not all humans are good. Aliens are going to be the same way. You're not just going to have a race that just flies around space cackling, trying to do bad things. There could be some biological components as to why they interpret certain things as being good or bad differently than the way humans would, but as a generality, they're not just going to be a race of evil. Now again, if you're writing, say, something along the lines of what I like to write, pulp science fiction, and your characters are, your hero is a bit Flash Gordon, then yeah, sure, fuck it, go for it. You know, make a race of purely evil aliens, because that's how they did it back then. And it's a stylistic choice, and it's tongue in cheek. It's being funny, so you can do it, but just be aware of it. That if you're trying to be more serious, and that applies to all this stuff. Look, there's always going to be times to break the rules. I hate rules, okay? Fuck rules. That's why I self-publish. That's why I do not submit stuff so they can go, here's what we're going to change so it's more marketable. Kiss my ass. No. I like the concept of doing what makes you happy. Rules are there to be broken, but if you're these tropes here, this is if you're trying to write like serious, like hard science fiction. This is not me telling you have to follow these rules, do not do these things, except for a couple of them. But as a generality, it's just saying be aware of these things, and that these things are something that audiences are probably getting kind of tired of at this point. Last of my species, aliens, or alien characters. Again, I mean, I don't even have to tell you, it's been done to death that there's one character on a ship who is all reflective all the time, but I am the last of my kind. Look, if you got a cool story about it, go ahead and write that shit. But if you're just throwing it in for like epic factor, don't do it. Don't do it. Just, it's cheesy, okay? So again, just think about that one before you do it. Aliens with a nemesis species. Aliens who, there's like alien species A, alien species B, and the humans know, they hate each other, and they have like been at each other's throat for 10,000 years. If you can find a good way to do it and provide, if you're going to get into the history and really talk about why they have this long-running thing, then sure, go for it. That could be really interesting, you know. Talk about, well, it started when one raided a colony with the other one at a certain time, and then another one committed a genocide on this colony, and if you flesh it out and you show that there genuinely was some horrible animosity between them over a long period of time, then you could sort of see this species wanting to fight each other to the death. Maybe. Even then, probably not to the death, because most things want to live, and most things don't want to sacrifice their entire species trying to destroy another. But they may at least be inclined to fight each other whenever they encounter one another, which is a different thing. Yes, some species may really dislike each other, and whenever they do happen to encounter each other, they will fight. But the concept of alien species A just wanting to wipe out alien species B, even if it means their own destruction, is not terribly realistic. And it's the same reason that we did not have nuclear war during the Cold War to wipe out humanity, because neither the U.S. or the Soviets, they did want to destroy each other, but they didn't want to be destroyed. It's mutually assured destruction. So you're probably not going to have nemesis species like that. Aliens that all dress the same. Again, cultures are really diverse. Even on a home world, obviously you're going to have a lot of different traditions, and on colonies are going to develop differently. And even on a colony, which is usually going to be a planet, right? A planet or a moon, those are big objects. And if they've been there for several generations, they're going to live in different areas, and they're going to grow their own cultures. We have seen it throughout time in human history that it doesn't take that long for a group to get its own cultural identity. So they're not all going to dress the same, or talk the same, or be the same. Humans using alien technology, but not really understanding it. Independence Day is a good example of this. And there are a bunch of them where it's basically, oh, we've adapted it to work, but we don't really understand it. Look, modern science still doesn't really understand why a bicycle stays upright when you're moving, okay? And if you don't believe me, look it up. It's fucking true that we really still don't know. There are some theories, but some of them have been tested, and they're not all quite accurate. We don't know exactly why, okay? So saying that we don't know how something works technologically is possible, but it has to be something fairly simple. You know, we're not going to get an alien computer to interface with ours if we don't understand it, because that's machine code, and they have to be able to talk to each other. And so, you know, we're not going to be operating complex alien technology without actually understanding it. Okay? Alien names with goddamn apostrophes in them. Do you want your alien race to sound like a bunch of stuttering buffoons? Well, then make sure that all their names are like Ja-Allah, Kukakala, and Kurgurgrit. Stop with the apostrophes. We have reached the end of the apostrophes, okay? Just please cut it out. And for the number one thing that I'm telling you, I am telling you this one is a rule. Don't fucking do it. Don't do it, and if you do it, god damn it! Indestructible fucking aliens. That is not how biology works, okay? Aliens do not land on Earth. They're not 7 feet tall, slimy with tentacles and oozing mucus everywhere. And then they obviously have fleshy bodies because you see skin rippling as they move. And then when you shoot it with a 50 caliber goddamn bullet, it bounces off of it. That is not how physics work, okay? Alien bodies are not just going to break the laws of physics. And yes, you could be like, oh, well, they have some kind of natural Kevlar in their thing. But it's still going to hurt the fucking alien, okay? Maybe it won't penetrate, blow its organs out, but it's still a heavy impact. It's still going to hurt it. It should still at least leave a mark, a wound, something. You cannot just go around saying, well, my aliens can punch their fists clean through solid metal doors. It doesn't hurt their bones. It doesn't hurt their flesh. They're immune to fire. What fucking thing that lives is immune to fire? I mean, maybe if they're silicon-based, but I've never seen a silicon-based creature in a like major Hollywood movie or anything like that. So alien bodies are not indestructible, and they can't stop bullets and knives and anything that, or like an elevator dropping on them, or the impact of a 60-mile-an-hour big rig hitting them or something like that. They do have to follow the laws of physics and biology, okay? Even if the biology is radically different, and it does make them somewhat stronger, it is not going to make them completely invulnerable. That is just not how anything works. So I really hope you have enjoyed me ranting for the last almost 50 minutes about 25 tropes when writing aliens. I would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button, subscribe, and even ring that bell, because I am going to be doing more of these rants about writing and tropes and things like that. Again, if you want to check out my books, I'm available on Smashwords, iBooks, anywhere you get ebooks, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, as far as paperback copies, and on Audible for several of my audiobooks. So I really appreciate you sitting here with me today while I filmed in the house because I was lazy and my neighbor's noisy. And I hope to see you again. Thanks.